Hello again. I knew I said I wasn't going to do any more videos about LEO, but it's bloody done it again. Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Doubling Down on the Derp. As I said in my previous one that I wasn't going to do that much about LEO, but he's come out with something. This video is a couple of weeks old, where he's responded to SciManDan. SciManDan gave him a challenge to watch the 50-minute non-stop unedited ISS video it's a few years old now, I think, by the Russian cosmonaut. He's done a very detailed tour of the ISS station. I think I may have spoken about it before. I've clipped it up before. What I'll do is I'll include it in this video as well, so you know what I'm talking about. Now, what's happened is, in amongst SciManDan and Level F Observer's various interactions, SciManDan has quite rightly challenged LEO to watch the full 50-minute ISS video and try and debunk it. Pretty tricky to do because it is filmed in space, it is unedited, there are no wires, there are no harnesses, it is a gentleman in zero gravity with somebody else, obviously with a camera, showing a literally room by room tour of the ISS. Unfortunately, Level F Observer really has personified the quintessence, that's not even a word, but you know what I mean, of doubling down on the derp. He isn't even trying to make any kind of justifiable reason why he can't. All he's doing is deflecting and changing the subject. I'll show you what I mean, because he's made a video. It's a very short video. It's about 2.5 minutes. But it's I wouldn't even say it's masterfully done. It's comically done at how bad it is. I'll show you what I mean.
Look at how easy it is to destroy one of the globe's top boys. We've got SciManDan here. I popped over to his pantomime channel to ask him yet again. This is a question this man cannot answer, and for good reason. Because Dan keeps making videos about, well, he essentially attempts to defend space propaganda fails and then claim that flat earthers failed. And as I've asked Dan yet again, how does you attempting to defend space pantomime mean demonstrable reality is wrong?
Now here's the thing about that statement. Level F Observer has his own version of demonstrable reality, which differs greatly from absolutely everything else on the planet. I do have a couple of videos about him myself, and he has his three fundamentals. We go into it again. I won't mention that because he does say them again, and we'll go through that when we get there.
You keep running away from this very simple question, and as a result make yourself look dishonest, Dan. Now, I knew Dan would take the bait with that.
Not really bait, was it? A little bit of the older overinflated ego there, by the way. Dan doesn't really take bait. He's way above that. I don't know Dan personally, but I can empathise with him a lot when you're dealing with cretins such as this. And I know I said in my previous video about CC about the possibility that he's affected by schizotypy or schizotypal personality disorder. I don't think that's true of LEO. I think he's just a dimwit who, I think he knows he's wrong, but he's got himself so far down this rabbit hole, I've probably said this before, that he can't get himself out of it without basically making a fool of himself. We'd have more what's the word, more respect for you if you came out and said, I was wrong. I had these ideas, they've been debunked 1,000 times by 1,000 different people, myself included, but I cannot bring myself to say I was wrong. Pride comes before a fall, mate.
Have you not looked at the 50-minute ISS tour yet? You keep dodging that one, mate. So Dan's response, well, in fact, let me read my answer. So your answer is
More ego.
to cite more space propaganda rather than actually answer the original question. You've lost the plot, son. Answer my question and I'll entertain your propaganda video.
I think the questions he's talking about are his usual three questions. So he can't even count. That's pecky, I'm sorry.
If you don't answer my question, then you've debunked yourself and highlighted the fact I do not need to entertain your silly video.
So here he is, he's set himself this criteria where he's not going to watch a widely available video that's been on the internet for quite some time, because his criteria or his provisions for doing so is that we answer his 3 stupid little questions. Once again, these questions have already been answered. And that Level Up Observer does have a habit of doing is watching every single video he can get his hands on that either fits with his narrative or he can misrepresent to fit his narrative. And this is what he's doing here. He has a video, anybody can watch it, there's no limitation, it's not behind a paywall, it's there, it's 2 clicks away, I've linked to it, SciManDan, I doubt very much can guarantee he's linked to it or sent in the link. It's there, you just have to sit down and watch it. But you're not going to because it doesn't fit your narrative.
So Dan comes back here. Your version of demonstrable reality and mine are quite clearly different. So again, the 50-minute ISS tour, please.
So what Level Up Observer could do at this point is to say, I'm not going to watch the ISS video because I don't think it's going to prove anything or something along those lines. It will prove something. Okay, it will prove everything. It will prove him wrong. But he can't watch it. He cannot bring himself to watch it. Or, more likely, he has watched it. And there's no way he can find that he can spin as much as Rishi Sunak to debunk it, because it's undebunkable. There's a comment on this video I'll get to in a minute where somebody tries to give an excuse or do Elio's job for him and say this is why, this is why it's a fake video. But obviously, once again, it's laughable as anything. So let's crack on with this.
Now this is where Dan has just boxed himself right in here. Oh. My version of demonstrable reality can be tested and verified by all, whilst yours can't.
This is the bonus phrase. Don't eat my wires, little Miss Rabbit. I have 2 rabbits in the front room now. Do apologise for the sidebar. Dave, I'm watching. Sorry, yes, Elio's tested and verified by all. It's an absolutely garbage statement. It means nothing. Absolutely nothing. He says tested and verified by all. They're not. I don't want to shoot my shot beforehand, but what it is the vacuum thing, it's the crane thing, and it's the water thing. Now he says that they can be tested and verified by all. They have been tested and verified by all, and the results are opposite to what he thinks they are. This is what I mean.
Prove me wrong by providing some practicality. Show me an air pressure system residing next to a vacuum without solid separation.
Yeah, we've got one. It's called the Earth's atmosphere. The fact that you don't understand that the atmosphere weakens and lessens as it gets higher in altitude, and that the vacuum of space is not a vacuum cleaner, and it doesn't suck, unlike you, that's exactly what you're looking for. It's an air pressure system, sort of, next to a vacuum, which it is. A vacuum just means nothing. It doesn't mean a vacuum cleaner. It doesn't mean a suction. It doesn't mean a force. That's not what a vacuum is.
Provide a physical demonstration showing a large standing body of water displaying convexity upon its surface.
Simple. I've spoken about this before. If you go down to Folkestone or any seaside area that has a high elevation point, like a cliff, Dover and Folkestone are prime examples. If you stand on the top of the cliffs, you can see further than when you're down at the beach. Now, Folkestone and Dover are ideal because when you stand on top of the cliffs, you can clearly see France as long as the weather's okay. When you go down to the beach, you can't. Flat earthers like to point out specific 2 locations on some on the planet where you can see Corsica from 350 miles away. How is this possible? Because the point of where you're observing it is at a highly elevated position, 100 feet, 500 feet in the air. Even the height of the tripod you're using to take the photo should be taken into account. relative to humidity, refraction, all these can be taken into account. On a clear day, you don't need refraction to see France from Folkestone. When you go down to the beach, you can't see France anymore because it's hidden behind the curve. When you want a demonstration of water, a large body of water showing convexity on its surface, you're looking at it. Every time you look at the sea, you're seeing the curve. The sea doesn't go like that and then drop. It goes like that. So the further you look out, the flatter it is. We're just too small. We can't see the other side. I like to point out that, is it Mark Sargent? He was in an online debate the other day and he said somebody challenged him on that point and he changed the criteria. He changed the logistics by which flat earthers set this stock, because he's supposed to be one of the most prevalent flat earthers just because he charges a lot of people to go to his bullshit conventions. He said it isn't moving bodies of water. He said it was still bodies of water. Can't display convexity on the surface.
That really answer my question though. I mean, let's use Sydney and Taranaki because they're on a long way apart, but on opposing sides of the same body of water.
Right. No, I know. I know you're saying why is the water...
The level, if water finds its level, the water should be at the same level at Sydney as it is at New Plymouth, which is the city.
All right. The short answer for that is that still water finds its level. If you take a bathtub and you fill it up with water and every 2 minutes you run your hand back and forth underneath it, that water is never going to flatten out.
But when you've got still water, you're talking about puddles, you're talking about ponds. They're too small. If you went down to a fine tooth comb, really, there probably would be a minuscule amount of convexity. There possibly could be. I don't have anything to figure that out. However, the larger a body of water gets, the more likely it is to not be still. I live quite near a few lakes. Singleton Lake is quite a good one. That isn't still water. That has ripples, that has waves. It's fed off a river and there's a weir that comes in. And yeah, that's not still water, Mark Sargent. So I should be able to measure at some point convexity on that surface by your own criteria.
And finally, prove that tower cranes can be dead still and plumb whilst doing ludicrous speeds in all different directions.
This is all about conservation of momentum and level Earth observers' inability to understand the size of the planet he's standing on. Now, I've said it before, it was in my very poorly lit video, and I do apologise for that. I cringe every time I watch it when I didn't have any lighting. The Earth rotates. It doesn't spin at 1,000 miles an hour. That is a misnomer and it's a deliberate lie. The Earth doesn't spin at 1,000 miles an hour. It rotates at 15 degrees. R.I.P. Bob Nodell. I would just like to add that. I'm very sorry to hear of his passing. He was wrong, but he was still a good man by all accounts. So very sad to hear. And obviously we can't really do the thanks Bob 15 degree an hour drift thing that much these days. So R.I.P. Bob, sad to see you go. Anyway, so 15 degrees per hour, that's how slowly the Earth is rotating, not spinning. The word spinning denotes speed, fast. It's not. If you want to get down to brass tacks in the description of the word, yeah, possibly. It is spinning, just very, very slowly. And you can't say the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour because there's only one point on the Earth that is, and that's the equator. If you come up to my elevation, or my meridian, where I am, I think it's about 153 miles an hour. I'm not spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. I'm rotating where a single point on the land is 153. Where's the difference? Even on a flat Earth, if that was spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, it's smaller than the inside. It's a bizarre concept. The inside of a door moves slower than the outside of a door when you close it. But there we go. So yes, and again, conservation of momentum. A crane sitting on the dock not doing anything is moving with the Earth as it rotates. So it's not going to move. You might waft in the breeze, but I've talked about the cranes before. You don't understand conservation of momentum, you don't understand how small you are on the size of the planet, and you don't know what the difference is between a vacuum and a vacuum cleaner. That's the three tenets. That's your three absolutes, your three fundamentals, and they're all bollocks. There's no other way to describe it. You don't know what you're talking about. You never have. You're doubling down on the derp. You're saying all these things you don't understand. You've sat yourself in your crane, you've got these ideas in your head, and you can't accept you're wrong. Which is a shame, because every single one of your videos where you talk about space pantomime, spatial ride, and that condescending tone that isn't impressing anybody apart from the sycophant comment on your videos. You do know that 75% of them just winding you up, don't you? Anyway, back to the video.
Remember, you said physics says so, but the only demo I got from you was you running away, ironically.
Don't think he's running away at all. He's asking you to do something. He's asking you to check out that 50-minute ISS video, which you're not mentioning at all. You're just going on about your 3 fundamentals and your 3 little rules, and you're avoiding the question. Again.
You've boxed yourself in, Dan. You can't answer my question. And we both know you can't cite any science to refute demonstrable reality.
Again. Your version of reality hasn't got any science behind it. It's a random speculation surrounding a damaged ideal. Every single one of your questions can be answered, but not in a way that you want to hear.
What a mess you've gotten into. Now, let me just refresh this to see if Dan has come back with any science. No, of course he's not. He can't answer the question, and he can't provide any scientific demonstrations. What we've done this morning here in the space of a couple of hours is absolutely exposed SciManDan, the globe, and space.
Again, there's that ego again. He hasn't done anything of the sort. And it is really quite whimsical listening to him going on if he wasn't so sad and pathetic.
Courtesy with the help of SciManDan. Love it.
Okay, so like I said, it was a short and sweet video, not saying anything new, but just desperately trying to debunk SciManDan, a man who is much more respected than you are, for very obvious reasons. But I'm just going to scroll down this page here to something that somebody has commented. There's a comment from me there, but if you go to this link, you'll see it. As I said before, he's, for lack of a better expression, a coward. I know that's a very hard thing to say, but it basically is. He won't answer all these questions. I commented on his videos, one of his previous videos, and he's blocked me or shadow banned me from his page, meaning I can post but no one else can see it. So that's pretty shitty, and that's very cowardly. Prove to me you haven't done that, because I can prove you have. So Dan has commented, and yet we still ignore the 50-minute ISS tour. No amount of circular reasoning is ever going to change the fact that the globe is scientifically impossible. Incorrect. That's why Warner Brothers and Disney had to fake so-called globe evidence. What? If it was real, they're willing to do fake so-called proofs. They haven't faked any proofs. The proofs are proofs. They are real. Strange. So here we go. Here's more deflection. You've gotten yourself in the right old mess, son, and no amount of space pantomime will ever help you change your results to demonstrable reality. Here's a big question, Dan. Are you a liar or just sell out reality-denying fantasist? Pot kettle. I'm going to show the one down here. Right. Joss Goosens 9059 says, agreed, but I want someone to debunk that 50-minute ISS tour. There you go. Somebody actually wants it. There were many very long segments without cutting or visible edits, correct? Have you seen it? How do they fake that? Going into corners and upside down if they hang in a harness on some rails should be visible. Maybe they used a robot arm, hold them at their waist. What? Waist, as in waist. In combination with green screen. Somebody said, don't underestimate the power of props, green screens, and massive studio and harness work. Just look at the movie Gravity. Someone says the movie Gravity must be real too then. Now, the film Gravity by Alfonso Cuarón, starring George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. That is, on a personal level, that was one of my biggest fears. It's one of those original. The definition of a rational fear is me floating off into the space with nothing to rescue me, with a limited air supply, and then just waiting to die with, that's one of those irrational fear things. And then they made this film, and it was like, oh my God, what do I want to see this? But I've seen the film, and I love the film. It's made by, the science behind it is by a company called Bot and Dolly. Now, if you've ever seen a video on YouTube called Box, what they had was 3 robots. Sorry, this is a bit of a sidebar. 2 sheets of A4 painted white, 3D projectors, and another robot holding a camera. I'll show you the clip of it here, and what they did, it was 3D projection where it was just being projected onto a flat plane, but the angle of the camera made it look like it was all three-dimensional. It was really very well done. These guys were the principal photography geniuses who did a lot of the 3D work behind the special effects. What was the biggest surprise for me was there were no spacesuits in the film Gravity. Everything was CGI. And as amazing as it was, and groundbreaking as it was, and Oscar-worthy as it was, you could still tell it wasn't real. The uncanny valley was still there. You could look at these guys in space, and obviously they're in space. But when they get into like the little internal sets, that was all still CGI, and you can still tell. It's just got that little air of not quite right about it. Now, when you look at the 50-minute ISS tour, it's a different type of camera, different focal length, different type of clarity. It looks real because it is real. It's 50 minutes, it's unbroken, it's all in one shot, and it is unbroken, it is solid, it is seamless because it happens in real time. Some of the excuses these guys come out with about it all being filmed underwater, have you seen them filming underwater when they're training? They do have a large water tank at NASA for training, but you'll see a stupidly large amount of bubbles, you'll see backup scuba divers just making sure everything okay, and everything will be blue because they're underwater. You can't really chroma key that out and change everything to black because it's supposed to be space. So, once again, Level Earth Observer, being the absolute clown that he is, deflecting, denying, avoiding the question, all these other logical fallacies. You've got a very simple task, LEO. The video is out there. It's 50-minute ISS tour. I'll find the link. I'll put it under this video. I know you like watching my channel because you love the attention. Okay, you respond to my videos, which is fine. I love a little bit of banter with you. You're always 100% wrong, but nice of you to try. Okay, so I'll post a video down below this video. I'll post a link down below this video. Watch the video from start to finish. Tell me where the cuts are. Tell me where the green screen is. Tell me where the harnesses are. Tell me where the wires are. Tell me how this is all done in the studio or underwater, and I will tell you at every single point why you are wrong. Thank you very much for watching. I know I said I wasn't going to do LEO again, but I've had quite a lot going on at the moment. Mainly reason being, I won't bore you with the sinus infection, which is still debilitating. It's possibly hay fever, sinusitis. I have a deviated septum, which may be contributing to the fact. I'm doing a lot of playthroughs at the moment of old video games. I did Little Misfortune. I'm currently doing Discworld, which I'm quite enjoying. It's an old game from '95, so it's still there. Look, check out the playlist and what have you. I've got Flashback as well, which is one of my favourite games from about 1993, 94. That's all the way through. Well, I will love you and leave you. It's a Sunday night. God Save the King. That was a coronation yesterday. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Concert not so much, but never mind. I will see you next time I do something, anything. I'm still playing the games. I'm still getting hassled by rabbits. Leave that alone. Yes, you. Don't look at me like that. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching. I shall see you next time. Good night.